Okay.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak to this next part of the bill. Firstly, on the amendment paper that our colleagues in New Zealand First have put up, I'd like to thank them for doing that. It's certainly, and for a piece of a bill that is, I think, of questionable use, at least adds a little bit more certainty for small business owners in New Zealand, in particular small business owners, because of the extra stress that it could well put on them from having to deal with the burden of potentially being accused of a crime over getting payment wrong. So I'll just actually pick up on what the member said towards the end there about the data. I think it would be really helpful around the data if we get a breakdown of the data of where, if it does exist, of where small business versus large business, just to see where the burden sits in this space. Because with small business owners, speaking and one myself, it is up to the small business, the owner, the worker, the person who does all the work in the business, to actually have to do the bookwork and all that themselves as well. Whereas the larger businesses have specialist skills and people employed in the space. So it would be really, really helpful if we could actually have data that separates those out into small and larger companies with more professional people available. And I just one of the other things that does worry me about the bill is when you look at the when you put down here the list of the punishments that you've got here, in terms of the actual whether it could be imprisonment of not exceeding a year. Is that really appropriate in this situation? I mean, that seems to me to be very heavy-handed, and along with a fine up to $5,000.
It is appropriate.
That is really. But this is the thing. You're talking about small business people who are the heart and soul of this country, who actually you're putting extra burden and pressure on of potentially going to prison. That is a heck of a burden to put on somebody, in a small business where you've got the day-to-day worries of running a business on a regular basis, and content and a $5,000 fine. It's a lot of small businesses, particularly in the very, very tough economic situation, we find ourselves in now. Another $5,000 fine is a substantial amount of money for a small business to fine. So I really would like to think we could maybe have a look at that. And then there's the larger fine of $30,000. That is a significant amount of money. So look, anyway, I thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to make my contribution on this, and I look forward to the response. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Camilla Belich.
Just a clarification point, really. The amendment paper put forward by the Honourable Casey Costello would replace the section 220AA2, which outlines the what will be liable for, and actually just makes it consistent with theft as currently in the Crimes Act, which I think, again, the member for that, I think that strengthens the bill to have consistency as in what's already a punishment in the Crimes Act.
Question is that Honourable.
And here's something worth noting. Did you know that if you steal money from your employer, the penalty, Grant McCallum, is up to a maximum of 7 years in prison?
Yeah, I mean, all I got to say is National is tough on crime until it's white-collar crime. Because it's like, oh, fuck, now we're implicating ourselves. You can see all these guys panicking and freaking out. It's like, holy shit, this is a self-report. It's like, how many times have these guys who are defending the idea of underpaying and getting workers to overwork and not get compensated for their labour, right? How many people in the National Party and ACT are doing this?
Yeah.
It raises more questions.
Yeah. He go, oh, the 7 years, it's overly heavy. 1 year is an overly heavy-handed sentence. Go, mate.
No, it's not.
7 years is the maximum penalty for stealing. So, from an employee, was it from an employee stealing from an employer? I mean, put it this way: you sentenced to jail for 7 years, you lose your right to vote. At least an employer steals wages, doesn't lose their right to vote, and the maximum sentence is a year.
But at least they can be, at least workers who are looking up their prospective boss who's gotten out of jail have now got something on record, and they can go, oh shit, I don't want to work for that guy.
Or someone doesn't get given a 13-week stand down by wins because their boss got a conviction for wage theft. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Scout, the Order Paper Podcast. YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.